Welcome to Flow Brewing. Tonight we are going to do a brown ale tasting. Today we have a standard English Southern brown ale is kind of what I'm calling this one, and then this one would be entered in category 23 because it has pecans in it. Um, More on that here in a little bit, and then we wanted to try Santa Fe's Nut Brown Ale, and then compare it with another classic brown ale style that's actually classified as an American brown, uh, Moose Droll. So, kind of want to get into this. For the Southern English brown ale, um, that has characterized with a malty sweet, often rich caramel, toffee-like character with a little bit of fruit and some dark fruits. And I think this fits in very, very well right there. From a clarity perspective and appearance, this beer has a very nice. Actually, hold on just a sec here. Waiting on for the appearance. It's got a nice light medium brown color. Um, it's not quite opaque. It it does have good clarity, and it's got that moderate to off white tan head that's last because this was poured from my kegerator quite a while ago. So I would say that it fits nicely in that style, maybe a little on the light side, um, but otherwise, seems to fit very well. Now, here in the flavor category, I may get knocked a little bit. I do get some deep caramel and toffee malty sweetness on it. Um, I don't get any fruit and really no bitterness, no hop presence. So I think that I'm close. I think that I'd like to get a little bit more of that dark fruit flavor. And I think if I would have shifted to a caramel 120 um, malt instead of going with the crystal 120 instead of going with the crystal 80, might could have got there. And I might need to deepen up the color just a shade. And then as far as the mouthfeel goes, it does have some residual sweetness. It is a little bit on the heavy side. It does not finish very dry. It is creamy and smooth. So I think overall, I got real close in the style, and it's a well brewed ale. To me, this style leaves something to be desired when you're drinking it, and I just I tend to drink one of these and think I wish it had a little bit more flavor, but I feel like that this is right in there on the style, and a well done beer. This one, same base beer, but would go category 23 because we dry hopped it with 2 pounds of pecans. Now, doesn't seem to change the aroma much at all. And honestly, what I did to those pecans, I'm not getting a ton of that flavor picked up in the beer, and not entirely sure why that is. You can definitely see the oily residue from the pecans in the appearance. So I don't know that I would knock the beer for that. I think it's just what happens, but it might. Um, I get some sweetness and just a hint of a pecan vanilla note from the aroma. So, anyways, I think it's right in there, but I'd like it to have a little bit more dark fruits coming out in the aroma. As far as the color, like we talked about, a little murky brown, but not bad at all. Really, it's a it's a good beer. It's got the residual sweetness. You know, one doesn't drink pecans very often, but you get that nutty sort of pecan backbone with the vanilla hints coming in, and maybe even some of the honey that I use when toasting the pecans. So um, very complex beer with some subtle flavor complexities, and very good, but um, not as pecan like as I would like, but overall a very drinkable and a very good beer. I just don't think that it's quite to that flavor intensity level that I'm looking for. But you know, very drinkable, very good ale, very no off flavors to speak of, and very well done. So now let's get into our commercial examples here. I'm going to compare the Santa Fe Nut Brown to that nut ale real quick, and then we'll round this out with a some flavor from the Moose Drool. So here, as you can see, we just poured that beer. It's loaded with carbonation, maybe slightly over carbonated, but I really like what this brewery does. I think they do a real top notch job. You can see it's got a sort of a red hue to the brown amber color. So maybe again a little bit on the light side, but that's a very, very fine line to walk. Definitely more fruity aroma, more hop derived nose on this beer than the two beers that I poured. Um, Almost some fruit notes though coming out, maybe a little bit of plum. Fairly effervescent in the sense that a lot of air coming off and carbonation, but I'll find out in the drink. So very malty and smooth beer. Um, get some raisin notes out of the back end of that, almost like white grapes, sort of mixing in with a raisiny backbone, um, like a dried kind of a dried grape flavor coming. So if I taste this next to my nut brown, I get a much more nutty, big bodied flavor out of my beer. However, it lacks, as you can see, the beauty and the clarity from the Santa Fe nut brown or the Santa Fe nut brown. But both are very good looking beers. But I would tilt my hat towards the Santa Fe as far as just overall, it's a prettier beer. It's definitely a little bit sweeter, a little bit more raisiny flavor in the background, but very good beer. Very well done. Let's see if there's any notes here on the bottle. It's really not. Um, but a quick Google search would help identify any any questions that we had about there. Brown. So just taking a quick look here. I should have done this before. However, we're just gonna go over here to beer, and we will go ahead. select our nut brown. And this is an English example. It's got a high mash temp, just like mine. Low alpha acid hops. Mild, smooth brown ale. And this one does not have any nuts, so it would probably be best compared to my regular brown ale. So just to kind of do a comparison here, you can see actually they are pretty much spot on with color. Really, you can't tell a difference. I believe the one that I brewed is slightly darker. There's that raisiny, little bit of dry grape. Whereas mine has a much more nutty, malty, toffee-like flavor. So I actually feel that mine is different. Prefer the flavor to mine actually a little bit better as well. But building pretty good resume that got a pretty good beer. Now, this Moose Drool is classified as an American brown ale. It I suppose has a high enough hop character that it could slide into that category. I personally feel that this isn't a very hoppy beer. I can kind of go and look up the total bitterness units, but I'm just going to top her up here, dealing with some foam coming out of this can into a warmer glass. So from a visual perspective, again, very close to my beer. They're probably actually much closer in color than the Santa Fe. Santa Fe is, again, a little bit lighter than the Moose Drool. And then, of course, the beer that's got the nuts is a lot more hazy and murky, and it's also a little bit lighter. But almost spot on with a little bit darker than the one that I brewed. And then again, comparing the regular English Southern Brown to the Santa Fe, and mine appears to be just a hint darker, but both are right there on the same color scale. So, getting into the Moose Drool, super bready, big bready kind of malt backbone on the aroma for me. We've talked a lot about color, and just a real good malty, sweet. Now, I will say that my brown ale does not have the fruit complexity that I get from the Moose Drool. I get a lot more sweetness from the Moose Drool, and it may be a little bit more raisin flavored as well than this example, which is a lot more, I'd kind of put it in the nutty, sort of bready category, like almost like a nut bread that that doesn't have the residual sweetness in the middle of the drink like the Moose Drool does. And to me, this is, I guess I can't argue because almost everyone classifies this as an American brown ale. It just doesn't have the hop bite like something like Janet's Brown Ale that you hear about from the Brewing Network seems to have. But again, that could be my taste. And I do recognize that I'm not necessarily the best taster out there. So, anyways, interesting comparisons. If we drink my pecan, it has that sort of sweetness in the middle of the drink that holds up, very similar to the Moose Drool. So, all in all, American brown ale still finishes sweet to me. Very good color, deep ruby, got a good bready nose. Again, very good color, bready, toffee kind of aromas, and very bready and like a nut bread sort of drink, especially up front, with a little bit of thinness and not quite the same amount of sweetness in the middle of the drink as it finishes. But I think a very good beer brewed to style. We will find out at Foam Cup. The Santa Fe Nut Brown, a little bit more fruity, a little bit more dried raisin type flavors, maybe a little bit of grape in there mixed in. That seems to be a little bit drier and less nutty and sweet, maybe, than say the brown ale that I brewed. Tends to finish maybe just a shade drier with a little bit of an alcohol note on the finish. And then finally, my pecan brown ale that finishes very nutty. Only knock on it would be the oils from the nuts on the beer. But again, you can see it's holding its head wonderful. Just great beer. And all in all, good tasting. Confirmed the beers to me, right in the style. Very good beers. And interesting commercial sampling as well. So thanks for tuning in to Flow Brewing. Hope you learned a little bit about the brown ale style. If you'd like to go and rate and calibrate some brown ales, I will go through a rating for these ales. And well, I'm not going to get that done in this sitting, but I will shoot to post some ratings for a Moose Drool, and then I will post that Moose Drool rating on flowbrewing.com. You can go out there and select the American Brown Ale category after you create your account, and you can rate a Moose Drool and kind of see how your ratings stack up to mine when you're viewing the PDF. And I'd encourage you guys to do that and go out there, rate some beers, compare your results to other tasters, and especially those that are BJCP qualified, just to get a kind of a feel for rating a beer in a particular style. Then go out and brew that style, taste the ingredients, and start noting some of the differences between your beers and some of the commercial examples that you taste, and start looking for what ingredients are giving you the flavors to help you achieve your desired outcome. Because we don't necessarily need another Moose Drool in the market, but if we had a brown ale that brought an interesting flavor combination, say a plum or something like that, that's a little bit different. I think there's infinitesimal many beers that can be sold in that venue, as long as they are something that makes them unique to a particular region, ingredient, or process that makes that beer stand out makes it interesting and makes as long as it's a drinkable, well done beer. So calibrate your beers, understand how the ingredients and the process alter flavors, and the way you do that is by rating beer, brewing, documenting what you do, and brewing beer with better data. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers. Make sure and rate some beers, and hope this was helpful.